Greetings friends, Chaos here. Happy Halloween. I have a bit of a fun video for y'all today. I'm going to be showing you how to make a creepy eyeball that watches your movement, and then I'm going to place that inside of a spooky haunted house. But before I get to that, let's take a look at today's sponsor, which is buried right in this grave. That's not the sponsor. One second, let me clean this up. Alright, should be this one. Ah, here we go. That's right, it's the Khaios plush. In true Halloween spirit, the new Khaios plushie has taken on a steampunk costume. Brought to you by Makeshift, this little guy is perfect for protecting you from ghosts and ghouls. With the Khaios plush by your side, those scary movies will be a little less scary. Maybe. Just look at how safe Shino feels with the plush by his side. If you'd like to get one of your very own, they are currently under pre-order. Links are in the description below. We need to sell a total of 200 of them to fund the campaign and get these adorable plushies shipped out. Last time we sold a total of 586, and I can't thank you all enough for the support. I'm curious to see if we can hit the 600 mark this time. In addition to that, if you create an account and sign in when you purchase the plushie, you'll be awarded a badge, which allows me to see exactly who all of my awesome supporters are. I'm going to be including the list of everybody with a badge in my videos throughout the campaign, so if you're going to be ordering a plush, be sure to log in first. Now, let's get onto today's build. So the idea for this video actually came from a viewer comment who said they saw on my channel a subscriber that did a construction with an eye that followed you around when you moved. Now, the person that they're referring to is Qcean, who went from being a viewer and a winner of the Build of the Month competition to being a friend and a member of Terraria, and she had built a Kraken eye in one of her Build of the Month competitions that would follow you and look at you whenever you went near the eye. And so I'm going to be showing you guys how to do something similar to that today. It's going to be a little bit of a different design on my own take on it, but it's pretty straightforward. It's going to look a lot more complicated than it is, just because it's going to take a lot of wires. It's going to be pretty cluttered, but we're going to clear out an area over here. This is where we're going to build the eye, and then we'll build the mansion around it, I think. But we're just going to start off by using some diamond gemspark block. You can use any of the gemsparks. Technically, you could use any block and use actuators instead, but I prefer to use gemspark so that it glows. So we're just going to start off by making a decent sized circle for the eyeball. Once you have the eyeball shape that you're happy with, you're going to decide where you want the pupil to go, and I guess the pupil shape. So I'm just going to be using black paint for now. This is the dead center of the eyeball, and I'm thinking about having the eyeball looking at the monitor like this whenever it's in a neutral position. And then once you get close to it, like say if I'm over here to the right side of it, it'll look over here like this and stare at me. I don't know what shape I want to go for the eye. I'm probably going to go for something creepy, like just the line shape. Maybe something like this as well. And we're just gonna go for the line. I think I like the line the most, so we're just gonna have this right here. Now I don't want it painted. I want these to be inactive gemspark, or off gemspark. And so the way we do that with wiring is we just run a wire all the way through here. Now you'll see if I get rid of this paint here and we put a logic sensor up here, when I go through here, it's going to create a line. Now I want this line to only be 5 blocks long, so I actually have to use 2 wire colors here. I'm going to use the red wire to activate the block and the blue wire to activate any blocks that I actually don't want active, like this. And now when I do that, it's activating this red wire, which will deactivate this gemspark, but it's activating the red and the blue, which will activate and deactivate this gemspark right here, which leaves it on and turns that off. And that's how we're going to end up with the pupil in the center position. So what we need is to have this on at all times, and then there's going to be a series of sensors, mostly these logic sensors placed around the eye in various strategic locations, and that's going to tell the eyeball where you are at so it knows where to look. And we're going to be pulling that off with a series of logic gates. Now, some of this might sound pretty confusing to you, and don't worry if it does. I'm going to be leaving a download link to this world in the description below so you can check it out. But I also will leave a link to my basics wiring tutorial. It's a couple years old, but it still covers all the basics, including these logic gates. So what we're going to be doing is have an XOR gate right here in the middle, and that's what's going to activate the center pupil. And we're going to hook up this wire, both the red and the blue, straight up to it. And we're going to have one logic gate on and one logic gate off, just like that, going into it. So whenever this lamp is on, like it is right now, the pupil will be in that position. Pretty straightforward, right? So we're also going to have logic gates. These are going to be AND gates with 3 blocks of space in between. And we're going to have 4 on each side. Now, all of these AND gates are going to have an on lamp on top of them, and then an off lamp on top of that on lamp, turning all of these gates off. Now, what these logic gates here are for is going to be all of the positions that I want the eyeball to be in. So right now we have this central position. I want to have one position where it looks down to the left right here, down to the right here, up to the right over there, up to the left over here, and then maybe right here. So we have one looking directly left, and then one looking directly right. So those will be all of the positions that we're going to have there, and then we'll have one up here looking straight up, and then one down here looking straight down. So that's kind of all of the spaces that we're going to want to cover with all of these. So we have up, center, down, up, right, right, down, right, up, left, left, down, left. And that's going to be 9 different positions. So we need 9 different gates. So here's the part where it gets visually messy. It's going to be pretty simple to do, but it's going to look a lot more complicated than it actually is. But what we're going to do is start off with having this upwards eye position. So in order to have the eye right here, we want those positions active. We can't use red and blue, obviously, because they're already in use. So we're going to use green and yellow. And I'm going to run the green wire all of the way up to here. And then we're going to connect it to that AND gate on the left. And then we're going to take the yellow wire and doing the same thing that we did with the blue wire here, we're going to connect it to any of the gem spark that we do not want to turn off, which is just that one at the very tip, and then connect that up to here as well. Now we're going to be activating all of that with a logic gate. I'm just going to give you a visual example of what that's going to look like. This logic gate is going to activate a wire that not only goes into the top of this XOR gate, but also into the top of that logic gate. So what it's going to do is it's going to activate this lamp, which turns off this gate, which will turn off the original position, and simultaneously it's going to turn on the gate to the left. So that eye shifts from the central position to straight up. Now, I want this logic sensor to actually be directly over the eye, so that way it works while it's centralized. But obviously these wires are being crossed here, so what I'm going to have to do is actually take some wire cutters, and we're going to move these wires out a little bit to the left over here. No big deal. Just like that. And then we're going to hook that yellow wire up over here. And that's kind of how things are going to be working with the entire eye. That's pretty much everything that we need to do. We just have to replicate that in all 9 positions and hook it up to all 9 gates. We're also going to need to have a total of 9 logic lamps over here, the bottom one being on, the rest of these being off, so that each one of these can feed straight into that XOR gate. Now, all of these logic gates, I'm actually going to hide them off screen later. I'll move them using T-Edit. I'm just keeping them on screen right now so it's visually convenient so you guys can see what I'm doing. The next position that we're going to cover is having the pupil look into the upper left hand corner, and basically I'm just going to be working counterclockwise around the eyeball, and so that's going to be this painted block here is where it's going to be. Now we're going back to red and blue, and so we're going to do red there, and once again we don't want that gem spark on, so that needs to be red and blue. And just like the previous one, that's going to connect straight up to that gate right here. We'll need to have another logic sensor somewhere nearby to activate it. The slight problem with this is going to be placement of these logic sensors. So if I were to say hook this up to the top of this gate here, and then the next lamp like that. The problem that we're going to see here is that, here, let me unpaint this so it's easier to see. The pupil will look at me here, but if I go over here, we have a bit of an overlap, and you kind of get 2 pupils going at the same time. If you move this sensor over one to the left, we have the opposite problem happen, where we have a pupil look at us here, but it's going to look at the center before it shifts around. So you're going to have to pick one or the other, which one you prefer. This one looks a little bit more jarring to me when it dips downwards, personally. So I actually like to have them a little bit closer, because if you go from one to the other rapidly, it actually looks pretty smooth. So the next position that we're going to be taking is moving the eyeball right here, looking straight to the left. And that's going to be the same thing as last time. We're going to be switching to green and yellow, because red and blue are right here and we don't want to cross those wire colors at all. So green goes all the way through the blocks that we have painted here, and we want yellow to cover the unpainted ones just like that. And then those ones will swing over to the side and connect up to the next logic gate. And then we'll need another sensor directly off to the side of this eye, and it's going to connect to the top of that gate and the top of that lamp. So you see the same sort of pattern happening here. We're basically going counterclockwise, hitting all of the positions. As we do, we hit, so the bottom left position is going to be connected to this lamp, the very bottom position is going to be connected to that lamp, the bottom right is going to be that lamp, right is that lamp, top right is that one. So it pretty much takes the same pattern, and all of these could actually be mirrored, so we're pretty much done with that right now. It took a bit of finagling with the wires to get everything straightened out. I had to move things around a little bit and to pick better positions for all of these logic sensors, but the concept remains the same, and now we have an eyeball that will look around and follow you when you go from place to place, and when you're not within range of it, it's just going to look straight at the monitor. So we now have this creepy, eerie eyeball that will watch you as you walk through the haunted mansion. So now I need to hop into T-Edit, move this way up into the air off screen, and we will start building the mansion around the eyeball. The house is looking sufficiently creepy so far. I'm really happy with how this eye is turning out. I decided to put some fleshy bits over where the eyeball would be, and I think it fits in pretty well actually. Now, what I'm considering doing is having it to where you could walk from one floor to the next, possibly through teleporters, just so you could get through the entire house and actually have the eyeball effect. Also, I'm thinking about adding some more sensors in it, because as you can see right now, we walk over here, it's looking at us, it stops over here. So I might put some sensors down here so he keeps looking to this corner, and then maybe on the next floor so he looks off to the side, and then maybe up here as well, and so that it's looking at you whenever you're in the house, no matter where you're at. So I'm gonna get to finishing the layout of the haunted house, and I'll probably get the background walls in as well, and then we'll jump back in before we start doing any decoration. Things are coming together rather nicely. I swapped out all of the diamond gem spark for ruby to give it an eerie red glow in the darkness here. We've got all of the walls in place, and I've decided not to do background teleporters. I will do background staircases, but you won't be able to use them. The reason being that, well, this wiring mess here, it would make teleporters impossible, or just not worth the effort. I could probably wiggle things around far enough that it would work. But we also have sensors all around the building, so you'll see the second I step inside, it's watching me. It'll occasionally flicker back to the center point whenever you overlap two at the same time, but that's okay. But it does the same over here. Does the same if you're in the corner over here, or in the upper floors as well. The only spot it can't see you is right up here, but that's so high up that I figure it's just fine. I could add another sensor right here if I really want to. Up next, I'm going to actually finish up all of the decoration, and then the build will be complete. I might actually also do a little spooky dead tree out here and extend the graveyard over here, so we don't have this biome shift, because this looks a lot better in the graveyard biome than it does outside of the graveyard biome. And here we are with the final project, and let me just say that I'm really happy with how this dead tree turned out. It's got a bunch of living mahogany, living wood, bone block, and bone platforms in it, with some craggy stone walls painted brown, and it came out really nice. Here is the final haunted house. I like having random paintings just scattered around. I like having everything uneven and kind of messy in a haunted house. I feel like it really adds to the weight and the pressure of it. It makes it feel creepier, like anything can jump out at you at any second. And I kind of went for that feel here, and I'm really happy with how this eye has turned out as well. It's very spooky, very creepy. I'm a little disappointed that I'm not able to teleport up and down, but that's the price you gotta pay when you make something like this, I suppose. But here is the final look at the haunted house. I hope you guys like it. If you did, be sure to leave a like on the video and leave a comment letting me know what you think of this haunted house. Again, there will be a download for it in the description below, so you can check out how to build the eye yourself if you're curious. And don't forget, I'm still selling plushies. There are links to that in the description below, as well as the pinned comment. So if you're interested in one, be sure to check it out. Until next time, thank you all very much for watching. Have a safe Halloween. I'll catch you all in November. Happy building.